the building with that one. Moyer would go on to add his third touchdown of the game on the ground. This would be the cherry on top as the Bobcats take the WCAL title outright, 45-21 on the road. Their fans jumping for joy as they are champions for the first time since 2020. A huge performance in the second half by the boys up front for Norwayne. They only ran it for like 73 yards in the first half. They would end with 313 on the ground, and Moyer was the catalyst for that. They've got that 2-quarterback system, and it really threw Hillsdale for a loop. They didn't exactly know who to key on. They knew it couldn't be the running attack because the big boys up front were making holes big enough for 18-wheelers to ride through the entire final 2 quarters. But Ryder Ingold, he was unbelievable. You already saw this. This is probably going to be a top play nominee eventually. But look at what he did in all 3 facets of the game. As I mentioned on my call, he was a dynamo, not just on special teams or on defense. He made 5 catches as well, went over 100 yards, and he was breaking up big passes, had the 2 big interceptions. Certainly worthy of being a Friday night phenomenee, just doing everything for this team out there. He was kind of the heart and soul, I think, of the defense in the secondary. And this Norwayne team, they are for real. And no shame, I don't think, for Hillsdale dropping the contest to them, as they still will clinch the number 3 seed in their region. And I have high hopes for these Falcons, but it's the Bobcats who are your outright champions this season, undefeated running through the league. And how about 9 consecutive wins for them? Their only loss on the year, week 1 against St. Clairsville. Oh, guess what? They're 10-0 this year, and they only lost on the road by a touchdown in that game. So very impressed. This is my first time seeing Norwayne in person. I fully expect this team in their Division 5 Region 18 with 2 home games to get to a week 13. I would be stunned if they did not do that. Same thing with the Falcons. When you look at how things are starting to shape up right now in Region 25 and them sitting at the 3 seed, there's a lot to look forward to for them. They will start the playoffs. It's all locked in. Thank you, Joe Idle, for doing all the work. Looks like they're going to get Independence coming over to the Falcons' Nest coming up next Friday night. So that's what lies ahead here for both of these teams. But we had another, not exactly winner-take-all game in the Firelands Conference tonight, but Monroeville, they have just been killing everybody. Shutouts in like 5 straight games since they got into conference play, but St. Paul, never count out the Flyers when it comes to Firelands Conference play. Starting to get a little bit healthier too. Josh Banks, he was over there at Marshfield to take in this contest, and we circled it before the season started. We said we want to be there. We feel like there's going to be some conference implications on this one, but we had no idea how good of a game it would be.
Yeah, conference implications, winner take all for Monroeville. St. Paul, if they could pull off what I think we all would consider an upset, they force a share of the Firelands. And let's look at the moving pictures to see how everything played out tonight. You're going to see Monroeville, Evan Bender, their go-to guy. 2-yard out, easy run, nothing doing. On the ensuing kickoff, they're going to force a fumble. Little pooch kick. We've seen both teams do this all night long. There's the fumble. Head on the ball, coughed it up. Monroeville recovers. 3 plays later, they're going to go down. Connor Bors is going to run it in from 14 yards out. Untouched.
It's going to be a blowout again, right?
At 14-0, my color guy, me and Mark Bollinger, this game's over.
Au contraire, mon frère.
4th and 1 from the 4. St. Paul gets stopped. Monroeville defense holds up. But anything you can do, I can do better. The very next play, St. Paul forces a fumble. That'll lead to a freeze touchdown, and then this run is going to knot it up at 14. 3rd quarter action, back and forth. This play right here, this was a special one. Evan Bimford is going to roll right. Plays to the right? Nope. The line stays home, hold their blocks, and he just outruns everybody to the corner. They go up 21-14. Monroeville can't be stopped. Well, neither can St. Paul. 36-yard dot from Coonley to Hauk. How about the catch?
Ooh.
He's down on the 1, but that gets him in scoring position. The very next play, Landon Freeze, their go-to guy all year, punches it in from a yard out. His second score of the night. What's going on here? St. Paul's got 21 points. Monroeville says, okay, we'll score one more. Benfer, his third touchdown of the evening. This young man is special as a senior. He's going to take them a ways. 92 yards later, 7 ticks left. St. Paul, last play of the game, Nick Pocus, the returning player. He's been back for about 3 weeks.
Oh.
Bumbling, 2-yard touchdown, 28-27. Hey, kick the extra point, tie it up, let's go to overtime.
No, sir.
Not tonight. Not tonight. Coonley's going to come out. Hey, Pocus just ran it in from 2 yards out. Give it to him again, right? No, not at all. Coonley's going to fake it. He's going to roll bootleg. How about off balance?
No!
Across his body, Landon Freeze in the end zone for the game-winning 2-point conversion. St. Paul pulls off the upset, 29-28 at Marsh Field, and clinch themselves a playoff spot and do it in really dominating fashion offensively. 332 yards of offense for St. Paul, the most I've seen them put up all year.
And for Monroeville, I talked about the fact that they have not allowed a point in 5 weeks. So you said, where are all these points coming from? St. Paul, too. Really slow start to their season. Starting to get healthy. Poco's back in the lineup. Freeze doing what he's been able to contribute all season long. At the beginning of the year, I mean, it was not looking very sharp. Shut out, 2 points in week 2, 6 points in week 3. Now, all of a sudden, just 1 loss, that coming to Western Reserve. Since that week 4, St. Paul, they're for real. I believe that they're in a position to be at home here in week number 11, right?
This win tonight gave them a shot to be at home. They're in Norwalk. I mean, it's a great facility, and they play so much better there. But how about the fact, very similar to last year for St. Paul. They start the year 0-3. Everybody's thinking, okay, this is finally going to be their down year. They win 6 out of their last 7, share the Firelands title again. Just like last year, they beat Monroeville to get a share, and now they're going into the playoffs. They had no shot last year. They ended up winning a playoff game, I think maybe even 2 last year. They could do the same thing again this year.
But they would not be in this position if not for the gutsy roll the dice call. They've got a new coach on the road. Look at all those people out there, Josh. They're back up in the parking lot watching this thing. They got their coolers out there being loud.
There's 4 parking lots at Monroeville, and every one of them was full. But just the guts and the throw, off balance.
Fadeaway jumper? What is this?
Crossbody, I mean.
Oh.
And he wasn't uncovered. He had a guy right in front of him. You've got to throw a perfect pass, and Grant Coonley did just that. The last drive tonight for Monroeville, you go down, Monroeville punches it in, 2.5 minutes remaining. You're thinking, St. Paul wants to run the ball. That's what they do. No. Coonley leads them 92 yards in 2.5 minutes for that game-tying touchdown on 3 pass plays. What more could you ask for from a young man that's only a sophomore?
And guess what? According to Joe Idle right now, St. Paul has clinched the number 8 seed. They will be at home and take on Cuyahoga Heights. So they'll get to be at Contractor Stadium coming up next Friday night. Again, this team was written off. I'm not going to name names, but a couple of people, I think some parents and some email chains that I was a part of, they were talking about, we're kind of sorry that we're working with you this year. I appreciate the coverage, but man, I know it's been rough. Guess what? Now that they got everybody back in the lineup, this is the St. Paul team that we're accustomed to watching, a very prideful community, and just what a gutsy effort. Like, I don't think we can really say enough about what it takes to go on the road. That's a tough place to win, and especially against a really stout defensive unit, to put up 29 points and to go for it. Fadeaway jumper, 2-point conversion. That's the highlight of the night. That's one of the games of the year for sure.
That was the best game I've been at all year, and this was my 4th time seeing St. Paul. I seen them in one of their toughest losses to Calvert, where I was right there with everybody else, kind of writing them off. Maybe this is their rebuilding year. Yeah, I'm eating my words now. They go 6-1 to end the year, and Contractor Stadium's getting a playoff game.
So the Firelands Conference obviously shared now, of course, with St. Paul up there with Monroeville. But for the Eagles, they're the number 5 seed in Region 25, along with St. Paul. They're all going to be competing there. They're going to be at home, of course. East Palestine right now is the projected matchup. So from what you saw from the Eagles tonight against the St. Paul team, a lot of momentum coming into this game. So it's not necessarily a bad loss by any stretch of the imagination. You'd love to get a win going into the postseason, but could you potentially see them advancing to like a regional semifinal or maybe even, the big one here like 4 weeks from now?
I could see Monroeville easily getting 2 wins, making it to week 13. Tonight, you really got to see that they are one-dimensional with their quarterback. He's got 1,200 yards rushing on the year, 800 yards passing on the year. He is their guy. Without him, they really struggle. You've seen that tonight. He had 3 rushing touchdowns tonight. He probably totaled more than half of their offense as a team. If you can slow him down, Monroeville's not that hard to stop, but their defense is really, really good. St. Paul just figured out a way tonight to take care of business.
Well, another team that if they took care of business, they knew that they would be in the postseason tonight in Region 25. The Lucas Cubs playing at Bob Wine Field, where, of course, they almost always win. They've got the firework display. They've got one of the best small school atmospheres in all of North Central Ohio. But playing a team nobody's ever heard of before because they had to jump a border to get over here from Michigan. But a state power over there. Just won a state championship a couple of years ago. And before that, another one. So I think like 2 in the last 6 years is what my buddy Andy Jardy told me. So a tough game for the Cubs. This is what happened tonight in their senior night. Start things off with Trenton Eider. 40-yard burst up the middle. No one can tackle him for Lucas. And Whiteford goes up 6-zip. This is midway through the second quarter after a scoreless first. Second half already, it's Eider again. 1 yard out this time to make it 14-0. And then Drew Ruddy would extend the lead. It's 22-zip. Whiteford on the road on senior night. But the Cubs would get on the board, and of course, it would be one of their stud seniors, and Dan Hawkinsmith ripping through the defense. He would tear away for a 60-yard score, but too little, too late. 22-6. Whiteford gets the dub over Lucas. So the Cubs and their fans, Andy was saying, there was a lot of uncertainty. We've been in the postseason, like 9 years in a row, looking for lucky number 10, I do believe, and is it still okay? Well, our man Joe Idle says, yes, the Lucas Cubs have clinched the playoff spot. They likely will be the number 13 seed, and will have to go on the road and play Warren JFK. Hey, no big surprise. How many times have we seen the Cubs run into the Eagles in the playoffs?
Almost every time the Cubs make the playoffs, at some point they're playing Warren JFK, and they're pretty good against them too.
So we have that one to look forward to for sure. As Lucas, by the skin of their teeth, they get back into the postseason. Somehow, some way, the Cubs always seem to find a way. But there was another team tonight, Josh, also that was looking to find their way back into the postseason. They've got a nice little run going over there in Olivesburg, and the Crestview Cougars also celebrating senior night. They've got a big rivalry game, Mapleton coming over to their place, and a win, and they were in to the postseason in D6 Region 22. Let's show you how things went down for the Cougars tonight. First drive, it's going to be Mapleton actually scoring, and they would go up first. It's 7-zip in the first quarter. The ensuing drive now, Crestview's Branson Hyder going to pick up the bobble pass and take it back for the touchdown. Wait. The refs couldn't determine if the ball didn't hit the ground, but we could. Super slow motion would show. Yep. No question about it. And matter of fact, not even close.
Not even close, and the ref's standing right there too.
Somehow he shielded away, so it doesn't count. But still, Hyder gonna finish it off. Ball don't lie, and sometimes the universe unfolds the way that it should. 10-yard touchdown run, and the Cougars are all knotted up at 7 apiece. And now Aiden Raymer, 5-yard touchdown run. Breaking in there, reaching. Actually, that looks like Liam Kuhn. It definitely is. So that's a touchdown here for the Cougars on the 6-yard run to put them up 20-7. And then this is Raymer, his second touchdown run of the night. 26-7 Cougars in the third quarter. Little jet sweep action. Nolan Moore, he's a speedster. 13-yard tutty. And all of a sudden, things are getting out of hand over at the Cougars' den. Little swing pass out here. It's Moore again. Getting loose into the secondary. And all of a sudden, the explosive plays have been piling up here for Crestview. They did not have this going early on in the season. But now, when it matters the most, starting to find a little bit of rhythm here on offense. Colton Whitman, one of the leading rushers in the Firelands, would burst in. It's 40-14. The entire Crestview offensive line, though, would be named the MVPs here tonight, Josh, because they're starting to run the ball like we've thought that they would from the beginning of the year. Raymer and All-Ohioan from a season ago, so many pieces back. Starters as sophomores, now juniors. So a nice win here for Crestview to kind of return to where we all anticipated that they would be by season's end.
Yeah, and Crestview played an absolutely monstrous preseason schedule, non-conference schedule, and then you come into the Firelands with the likes of Monroeville, St. Paul, Western. The record they have and the teams that they played really helps them get into the postseason, but now they're battle-tested. Now they're ready to make a run and have a shot. As you see the Fireland standings tied in the conference, Monroeville and St. Paul share it. But there's Crestview, 5-5 overall. Again, 0-3 in non-conference play. 5-2 in the Firelands. They're a talented group. They're going to be fun to watch in the postseason, as we're going to look right now and see where they're at. It's one of those teams when you get into the playoffs, you don't want to see them. Like the Cubs, like the Flyers. You don't want to run into the Crestview Cougars as they're figuring it out.
And it looks like Joe Idle has figured out that Ottawa Hills is going to be the location for Crestview to travel to next Friday night. They are 8-1. They didn't play in week number 7, had an open date, but that's a team 8 consecutive victories since an opening night loss against Gibsonburg. So the Green Bears, they're starting to trample some opponents too now that I'm looking at some scores. But how about the Cougars too? Very similarly to St. Paul, they start the season at 0-4, and we're all kind of concerned. They're giving up a lot of points, shut out in week number 3 on the road at Keystone. Obviously, when you play Kirtland, you don't really anticipate that you're going to win.
You don't
Nobody
expect
beats
a lot.
them. So battle-tested going into the Firelands Conference, and now they've won 5 out of their last 6. So congratulations there to Coach Haverdale. Yeah. Never not made the postseason since he's been the head coach of the Cougars, and they get in again. I feel like the way that the offense is clicking right now, and even though the competition hasn't been great, you do love that win last week against Western Reserve. I've seen it with my own eyes, and they dominated. They held that Rough Riders team to just 8 points, and it was the best passing team in the league at the time, and they really shut them down. So, I've got some pretty high expectations for the Cougars going on the road in week number 11, and feel like even if they don't come home with a victory, like certainly they could push and they could make it a ball game.
Ottawa Hill is one of those teams that the Colonel Crawford Eagles see almost every year in the postseason, and they split with them rather often. Crestview, a team this year that can really go up there to Ottawa Hills, and I think they can come home with a win. I think we all want them to come home with a win, but they're going to have to battle it out, and again, they're battle-tested, so they're definitely ready to go.
All right, guys, that's just one segment. We've got a loaded second segment coming up with a whole bunch of highlights, and of course, we got to showcase the Week 9 top play and Phenom winners. That's all coming up on the other side of this quick commercial timeout. Friday night lights. Get hype, get hype. Here we go now.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
Flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on. Gotta keep the flame on. Gotta keep the flame. Keep the flame. Keep the flame on. Gotta keep the flame on. Flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't none left. Going till there ain't none. Keep the flame on. Gotta 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 keep the flame. Keep the flame. Keep the flame on.
It was a huge week 9, of course, to set the table for everything that we know now in week 10. But we always put it in your hands, the viewers, the voters out there, no matter where you are, and we appreciate it. Here's who you decided had the top play from week number 9. The Sirens were going off on Tough Street. He's a freshman, and he's breaking loose for a 63-yard touchdown run, a big score for Danville. My favorite part about the whole thing, he throws up the number 1 when he's still about 10 yards out. He wanted everybody to know where he was going to land on this week's voting. Give a secondary vote to the offensive line, opening it up, but how about the speed, the acceleration, and goodbye. Throw up the deuces, baby. Siren Wallace, your top play of the week. And your Friday night phenom winner from a monster showdown against the Cary Blue Devils, Ben Bogner showed out. This senior dynamic playmaker, no matter where he was on the field, he threw it for nearly 200 yards, ran for over 100 more, and had a couple of touchdowns. But the most important statistic was they got that huge win, baby, to set up a winner-take-all game in week number 10 for the Northern Penn Conference. Ben Bogner from week number 9 is your Friday night phenom.
Thank you, Mr. Skowronski. In here, the K-Mac corner, myself, Jonathon Langdon, still recovering over that Game 5 Guardians loss. But hey, Freddie Freeman walked off the Yankees tonight. Dodgers win 6-3. Let's go there. But the fastest 10 weeks of the season is winding down. We have 3 of the 4 KMAC games. The one that we did not do because of internet issues didn't go there. But Northmore completed its first ever undefeated season. 50-0 over Loudonville. They are outright KMAC champs. We'll see that in the standings down the line. But a big game down at Chet Looney Stadium tonight. As always, Devil Dog, you throw out the records, you throw out everything. Danville looking to clinch a one spot and one seed in their region. East Knox looking just to get in. Let's go to the highlights right now. The 68th edition of Devil Dog. Danville leads the all-time series 42-24-1. In a rivalry matchup, you always get tricky. Coach Bloom pulling the Statue of Liberty out of the bag. Josh Byers takes the sneaky Hackman handoff, and he is off to the races. 28 yards, 8-0 Dogs. Trailing Danville. East Knox right back at you, though. Jax Lester finds Langdon Dawson across the middle. That's going to be good for 30 yards. Momentum right back in the Dogs' side. But a few plays later, Lester rolling out to pass, throws behind the receiver, and is picked off by Carson Proper. A huge momentum shift for the Devils. Head to the second, and it's trick-or-treat time again for Coach Bloom. The Philly special. Backup quarterback Nolan Ridgway can't find Hackman. Rolls, looking, and finds West Payne with the toe drag swag. 14-0 Devils at the break. Second half, and it was the Aiden Burke show. He had most of his 179 yards on the ground in the second half. This rumble will set up the speedy freshman Siren Wallace, your top play winner for the score, 20-0. Danville wins at 36-6 for their third consecutive win in Devil Dog, and they have clinched 2 home games at Tough Street Stadium. Danville, 2 losses. You're thinking, oh, geez, this is, I don't know what's going on, but I talked to Coach Bloom before the game, and he said after that Northmore loss, we really reset. It was a wake-up call for us, and one of the big reasons they won the night, they actually had a good pass defense.
Yeah, it's so tough to win a game, win a rivalry with that big of a score, 36-6. Danville, they've had it going the last couple of weeks, and now we see them take down East Knox. They got a perfect sort of momentum swing in these last 3 weeks that will treat them well in the playoffs coming up.
And speaking of which, one of the main reasons, Aiden Burke, who had a phenomenal night once again, and like we said, second half he had over 100 yards rushing, 25 carries, 179, and 2 touchdowns. He was doing stuff like that, just bouncing off of defenders, running through defenders as well. As you see, take a look at this one, just running them over.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, down close to the end zone. Twice he almost scored. That time they actually did reward him with the score on the next play, and then he did have another touchdown run as well. There's the rewarding of the run right there, and then this one also, his 2 touchdowns on the night. Aiden Burke, a fee nominee right now. And our top play nominee, you got to give the Statue of Liberty some. Look how perfect they played it. The DN didn't realize until it was too late, and then Byers was off to the races. The statue, it's all of Boise State, Oklahoma back in the Fiesta Bowl. But look how perfectly executed this is. The little sneak around there. I called it the fumble Rooski real quick because he was bent over like that, but it was quite the play call. 2 trick plays got Danville ahead, and they end up winning the big one against East Knox. Danville right now, they get 2 home games, depending on some bonus points with Eastern. Right now, they sit at the 1 spot. They could be the 2 spots, so they're either going to be playing the Bridgeport Bulldogs out of the Ohio Valley, or they will be hosting Strasburg Franklin in week number 11. East Knox did not make it. They finished 19th. A win would have probably put them in, but a tough night there for the Bulldogs. Young squad, though. Jax Lester and company. This is a good season to build on, and we'll see if they can really build on that with some of the players, graduating seniors from the other teams, like Northmore losing a lot of seniors, Fredericktown as well, Danville with some players. Maybe this is a building block for next year.
Yeah, I think it's just there's a lot to take away, especially those last 4 weeks. Looking at the scores, it's a little bit rough, but there's a lot to learn from those last 4 weeks. KMAC was really tough this year. East Knox, back to the drawing board.
Another team that had a chance coming into Week 10 for a spot in the playoffs, the Mount Gilead Indians. You were there for that game.
I was. Mount Gilead had their final home game of the season. Let's go ahead and cue the clips. They took on Cardington in the battle, down 42. And Mount Gilead, they have playoff implications, trying to fight and get into maybe the 16 spot. Cardington, they're out, but they want to spoil Mount Gilead's playoff potential run. First touchdown of the game goes to Cam Vickers right there. He makes it 8-0 on a 2-point conversion as well. Forced Cardington to throw the football. Look at that. Briggs is going to run all the way to the end zone for a 50-plus yard touchdown. Makes it 6-8. They did not get the 2-point conversion there. Then Mount Gilead just ran the ball the entire game, it felt like. And Elliott Jones is going to find pay dirt here. and he looks right to our cameras and gives a little celebration. Props to him there.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, gotta love Elliott Jones. He had a great season this year. You see trainer in motion here on this next touchdown, and Vickers gets his second in the fourth quarter we moved to. That made it a 2-possession game for the first time in the night. And Cardington immediately, their next drive, they would respond. Briggs had quite the game. 2 touchdowns. He had both of them for Cardington. That would make it an 8-point game. They couldn't get the 2-point conversion, but it would not matter anyway because Mount Gilead just killed that clock with 3 minutes to go. Interesting looking touchdown there, but Cole Fricky, he got it in, and that would end up doing things. 2-point conversion would make it 28-12. Big win for Mount Gilead, although, spoiler alert, they did not make the playoffs. A couple of results did not go their way, but you see them with their final walk down the field. Always great to capture moments like that, especially with those 8 seniors right there that have had a really good season for this team. Great turnaround for them, even though the record might not have shown it.
Yeah, Mount Gilead finishing 18th. Coach Reed down there, a great job. And if you just go back a couple possessions, the Upper Sandusky lost a couple games early on, even the Northmore game. They really looked like the team we expected them to be against Northmore. And now in this game against Cardington, where they could run the ball, run a ton of clock, and then score the touchdown. It's a shame. I was looking forward to see if Mount Gilead could be that upset-minded team if they got into the postseason. Just missed out on the playoffs, though. But something to build on for this squad. And you also, Cole Fricky, the way he was able to perform this season, and also gave you a top play on defense?
Yeah, on defense. This is a guy that played pretty well as a quarterback this year, but let's go ahead and take a look at that top play. You're going to see Williamson rolling out to the right, and he throws off balance. And look at this tip drill. Cole Fricky ends up with it. A big-time interception. You don't really see his name called defensively very often, but right there, able to fall with it, tipped it up there at the last moment, landed right into his chest. Big play. That really turned things around. They would score on that following drive.
Looks like a certain Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers there with the hand-eye coordination with the tip drill and everything else. So, yeah, Cardington already out. Mount Gilead just squeaks out of the playoffs. But that leaves one more highlight for us, and it is the second biggest rivalry in the KMAC.
Depending on who you talk to.
Depending on who you talk to. But in Centerburg and in Fredericktown, you got 2 squads that are fighting for playoff position, and our own Bryce Coder was down at Centerburg for Freddyburg, and we'll bring in Mr. Coder. Bryce, as always, good to see you, and you had one heck of a matchup this night.
Very much so. Last year I covered the Devil Dog game. This year, honored to cover the Freddyburg game. A great atmosphere, definitely a packed house there. Really great weather, definitely a football Friday night that you'd see in TVs or movie. But definitely for both teams knowing how much is on the line here, battling for third place outright in the KMAC. And for them, with the rivalry, another storied matchup for them, and they know it goes into the history books, and it means so much from year to year from these fans. And Centerburg, really getting the better of Fredericktown in this one. We'll roll the clips, but, starting things off here, Blaine Ball with a 6-yard touchdown run, and he was electric throughout this entire football game. 2 minutes and 7 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, and he throws a beautiful dime pass to Trevin Harris, who makes the basket catch. That's going to be the story of the night. There's another one that he throws, fakes the handoff to Chris Marshall, and finds Trevin Harris, who just burns the cornerbacks all the way into the end zone. Then Elijah Roush will break one off for a total of 85 yards here as Fredericktown will look to rally with 11:39. That's 6 seconds after the Trevin Harris touchdown. Then transitioning into about 30 seconds remaining here in the second quarter, Blaine Ball throws another touchdown pass. This one really close on the line. There's a little bit of discussion, but deciding to go with the touchdown on a 10-yard pass to Chris Marshall. Then Blake Sipes breaks one off for himself, a 25-yard touchdown rush as they look to get into it late in the game. But again, the story of it all, Trevin Harris receiving the 26-yard touchdown pass from Blaine Ball. Something to watch there is after that catch, he did come off. He wasn't able to return to the game. He was in a sling, and he was in the sling for our MVP interview. In talking with him, he said when he was actually running into the end zone, he felt a pop in his shoulder and things weren't right. He's going to get that checked out. Hopefully he's going to be okay, but really a decisive game for Fredericktown, or for Centerburg.
Both teams will be playoff bound. Centerburg just missing out on a home game. They're either going to finish 9th or 10th. Just thoughts on Centerburg. Trevin Harris, banged up shoulder, but this could be a team that could go somewhere on the road and pull off an upset, maybe a couple upsets in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they've really got to be feeling good. They've been moving really well the last couple of weeks. They had, I think, a 40-6 victory against East Knox last week, and now the victory this week. And, you know, even coming into it, I think this was a topic of conversation that Micah and my color commentary and I were having is, you know, we thought it was going to be a lot closer of a game, and we maybe even thought that Fredericktown might take it just based on some of the past results in the regular season. But Centerburg really showing out. A lot of the issues that they were having with penalties seemed to dry up, which is a huge step for them. They, you know, were regularly giving up 100 yards and penalty yards a game. And quite frankly, that can't happen, especially when you're going into these playoff games where every yard matters.
And on the other side for Fredericktown, they as well in the postseason, the 14 seed, they will be heading to Oak Harbor. Does Blake Sipes, Gavin Toombs and company, do they have what it takes to head up to the lake and keep things going?
There's definitely a possibility. It wasn't there night to night, you know, especially with the versatility of Blake Sipes, though. I mean, he can do it all. We looked at, he has, 16 rushing touchdowns on the season. He has 7 passing touchdowns on the year. I think he has over 1,300 rushing yards. You look at guys like Gavin Toombs, who's only a sophomore, but he's already 6'5" and 225 pounds and already playing a huge role in that offense, both as a receiver and as a tight end, kind of a blocker role in that. So I definitely think they got some options. If things go their way, I think they may be able to pull it out. But I think it's still a lot to be said.
And finally, you said you did Devil Dog last year. You're doing Freddyburg this year. Which rivalry's better?
Don't do that to him.
Better is a tough term, but I think the atmosphere of the Devil Dog was, I just think with the way the press box is set up and the stands and everything, I feel like we're much more a part of it, and we get to hear like the crowd and everything. And those horns they do adds to the atmosphere so much.
Horns weren't there tonight.
Definitely.
Our horn blower was actually in Georgia watching the game, so we didn't have the big horns. We had the small horns tonight. That was who was in our clip to start off. She wasn't there, but just go. Both of them are good in their own ways because it's the KMAC and everything's good, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Bryce. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week on the Playoff Pigskin as we take a look at the Knox Morrow Athletic Conference standings. And the Northmore Golden Knights are putting a solo championship up on the banner. Hopefully Blade Tackett makes it nice and straight on the banner. We've seen him not do that anyway. 10-0, 7-0. Danville clinches the 2 spot at 6-1, 7-3. Centerburg right there in third, 5-2, 6-4. And then Fredericktown and East Knox right there behind them. A couple other things. Northmore will be hosting Caldwell in the first round of the postseason, and depending on a couple bonus points, they may see either Centerburg in the second round or Centerburg may be going to the other side of the bracket. Colonel Crawford is either going to be an 8 or a 9, so they would be on the other side of the bracket as well.
What a second meeting that would be.
Yeah, what a second. Well, that's why I think there are some fans hoping that Centerburg is going to be on the other side of the bracket so we get a regional championship. I know Brian Skowronski would be excited about that. Speaking of Colonel Crawford and Northern 10, they finished as an 8 or a 9, but you have another big matchup coming up your way right now.
That's right, Travis. They were playing for keeps tonight in Attica and Seneca East. They've been playing really well here of late. My notes say they are winners of 5 of 6, but Mohawk, there's just like one head-scratching, one-score loss against Upper Sandusky away from being winners of potentially 9 in a row heading into tonight. The game going down over at Tiger Stadium. Shayne Young was there. You just can't beat a game. Week 10, 2 rivals like this going head-to-head, everything on the line. But it was a pretty awesome atmosphere for this winner-take-all Northern 10 showdown.
Yeah, it definitely was a great atmosphere. Let me tell you, the Seneca East fans were really, really loud tonight. Between, I think, bottles of rocks and gallons of rocks being shaken, fans yelling, it was pretty intense. So if Adam would over there just get them clips rolling real quick, we'll show you what went down. So we're going to start off the game. First drive, we're going to get a 2-yard touchdown to Aiden Zach. They will miss the PAT. It is 6-0. Now we'll go to the second quarter now. Ben Bogner will throw a dime, 43 yards to Caleb Bish, making this game 7-6. And next, here we go. First INT of the day. He's rolling out. He's trying to find someone. He's about to get hit. He tosses it up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, bad decision. Really bad decision. That'll be Caleb Bish with an INT. Then here we go. This is the third, and oh man, read it and watch the ref here. The ref is going to get in the way of Nicholas Parks, and he's going to take it all the way to the house. About 75-yard pick.
Top play pancake for a zebra.
They will hit a 2-point conversion here, making it two scores, 15-6.
Did he do it again?
Again, another pick. This now is his 4th interception of the night. So now we're towards, the end of the game. Now it's the 4th quarter. Seneca is finally going to score, putting themselves on the board. It is now 15-13. But then 2 plays later, the next drive, Ben Bogner is going to take it himself all the way to the house for 63 yards. And then there's 1 second left on the clock, and it's another pick.
Oh, no way.
His 5th of the night to end it off. 5 interceptions from Nicholas Parks. Didn't expect that. I expected a good game, though, and that's what I got out of it. I did have Mohawk winning. Congratulations to them.
You got to love it. It came down to the very last play of the game. The final seconds ticked off, and you didn't know who was going to win until that last interception. But a 5-pack, now Nicholas Parks, he's an exciting player. I got to see him in person in week 1, and he's got a little bit of Houdini in him. He'll try to extend every single play. But sometimes you just got to make the smart play and maybe not throw it into, I saw double coverage, triple coverage on that one play. That had to have been the biggest difference, the biggest factor in this one was just 5 giveaways by one guy. That's about way too many.
Yeah, he's the leading passer in the N10. For him to come out, and this is a winner-takes-all title game, you cannot throw 5 interceptions. That is definitely not on the bucket list. So for him to come out there 5 interceptions, that totally just ruins all momentum for Seneca East. And this is actually Mohawk's first time beating Seneca East since 2021.
And first time winning the N10 since 2018. It's been such a nice run here for the Cary Blue Devils. So, Cary, baby, I love you. I really do. It's kind of refreshing, though, to have a little bit of new blood, and it might re-energize this conference.
Tell me about it. Playing Winford football and seeing Cary and Crawford, those are the 2 guys, has been a very long couple of years. To finally see somebody finally winning the Northern 10 is definitely refreshing.
All right, so I see that Division 6, Region 22, it's on wax, baby. We know that in Seneca East, they're in. They're going to have to go on the road, though, in the playoffs, as they are the runner-up here in the league. Mohawk taking everything, and they earned a home game in the postseason. Did those Warriors, and they are going to host Macomb, who's kind of been a perennial power when they've gotten to the playoffs. So each of them, their season not over. Tough for Seneca East to just be on the outside of a home playoff game looking in. They'll have to travel up to Collins, but what do you feel like the potential is for each of these teams as they continue on and march into Week 11?
Well, if Ben Bogner can keep the offense going and if their defense can get 5 interceptions in playoffs again, I think Mohawk's going to have a great shot. Seneca, it's one bad game. Sure, it's probably the worst bad game you can have, but they're still a sneaky good team, and I've said that since the beginning of the year. And as for Crawford, it's Crawford. They could either be they're either putting 60 on you, or they might trick you, and it's Crawford. That's the way I look at it. I think Crawford, they're always going to be competitive no matter what. But these 3 teams, they have good shots in playoffs.
Yeah, the fact that Nicholas Parks throws 5 INTs and they're still in it at the very end of the game actually gives me reason to believe that the Tigers, that they just might have what it takes to march on to week 12.
Yeah, they make a PAT, you know. The pick six doesn't happen. This is probably going to overtime.
Well, there was another group of Tigers out there tonight, Shayne, looking to compete and cement what could be a home playoff game in week number 11, that being the Galion Tigers. But there was a group from Harding, the presidents, that were looking to veto that entire idea. We've got some moving pictures from that game. And as we start the clip here, the first score wouldn't come until late in the second quarter. Galion, a 30-yard touchdown pass, Aiden Schmidt to Braxton Stuckman. PAT is good.
Was that Braxton Prosser?
It was Stuckman. Now Galion's Cameron Kuhlman tackles Harding's Connor Pennington. It's a safety. Open up the third quarter now. It's Schmidt, 82-yard connection. Jacob gonna take it into the chambers of the end zone to increase the lead up to 16 zip. 2 minutes left in the third quarter now. It's Galion's Alan Carver kicking a 30-yard field goal to make it 19-0 going into the fourth. It's over, right? Wrong. Harding was far from giving up. Opening play of the fourth, Pennington to Raymond Scott Harbolt, 22-yard touchdown. Not even 60 seconds go by, and it's Pennington to Scott Harbolt again, this time from 8 yards out, 19-14, lots of time left. 8 minutes to go now, though. Prosser will get in for a Tigers touchdown. Give him a little bit of breathing room, but the Prexy strike right back. Landon Adams makes it 26-21, but the Tigers would seal the deal. Jacob Chambers, his second touchdown of the game, rushing in from 30 yards into the end zone, would make it 32-21 as Galion gets it done. So another Tiger into the postseason and did clinch a home game. I'm going to look right now, Shayne. Actually, Lenardi Berardi, do you know just yet?
No.
Hasn't been determined.
No.
Hasn't been determined. That's okay. That's okay. So we'll wait a little bit. We'll see what's going to shake out there in Division 4, Region 14. But the Tigers now, 3 straight wins to close out their season, Shayne. So a team that 3-game losing streak right in the middle after they came out of the gate top 4-0, and you were just like, what is this team? You know, it gives you a little bit of whiplash. What's your take on what we've seen from Galion? The Prexies just 1 win on the season, and they did have to battle them off there in that fourth quarter, but it's been a nice way to end the campaign right now for Galion.
First off, was Prosser playing wide receiver?
They've been moving him around, man. Yeah, he's at wideout right now.
Okay, well, I've been to 3 Galion games, and
tell me more.
2 of them they lost. One of them was bad to Ontario.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking loss to Heinlein.
That's right.
But they beat Upper. But it's anyways. You know, there's a lot of hope, especially for this this Galion team getting a win. What'd you say? 3 wins, 3 straight wins to end out the season.
Yeah, 7 dubs overall in the season. But you really the Highland win or the loss, not good. You don't appreciate that. The back-to-back losses against Ontario and Shelby, everybody else did that.
Yeah,
so
everybody.
Come on. I think it's a pretty good team.
They're going to get a lot of momentum. They're going to have a lot of momentum going into playoffs. And, like we said, these 3 wins at the end of the season, that's just going to give them a little more excitement maybe in the locker rooms after 3 straight losses from Shelby, Ontario, and Highland.
Well, I can say this, actually. Joe Idle says it is locked in stone. The Galion will be the number 7 seed. They just don't know who they're going to play. So they will be at home for certain in Week 11. So congratulations to Coach Dick and the Tigers for getting it done and, shaking off like a little bit of the mid-season something.
Shambles?
Yes,
I don't know.
That's a great way to put it. So they broke off the shambles and moving on to bigger and better things. Ontario trying to bounce back from their only loss of the season tonight, and it was senior night. I know that they've got some beloved players over there. Obviously, Bob Penn really jumps off the page. We're all going to miss him.
I'm a Michigan fan, but, oh, man, I loved watching this. Yeah, I know. Boo me. And everyone at home boo me, okay? A Michigan fan, of course, is going to Ohio State. He's a player. He's a dog.
Yeah, he's definitely a dog. And of course, when you're playing in front of the home fans for the last time in your career, Shayne, you got an opportunity to do this, as did I. There's just so much value that you take in. Not only do you want to get the win, but but you want to play really well. And
Right.
now, granted, they're going to get to play at this stadium again, but it's a little bit different when you're out there. You're with your parents. You know, maybe your grandma's in the stands. You're walking out. They got the flowers or whatever they do for you. Senior night, it's a special type of spectacular for every athlete that's able to endure and get through to your fourth season.
Yeah, on Ontario, senior night, big night. Only lost to Shelby, obviously. I was at that game. Great game. This Ontario team is going to be exciting towards playoffs.
But what did they do tonight? How about this against Highland, who was visiting? And there are the, well, you know, often not a little bit of a shaky start. You know, it's tough sometimes to bust through that paper. They make it a lot stronger than they used to. Here is Bodpen. He clicks out here to Clark Spearman, and he will get ghost. No one's going to catch him. Wow. 43 yards, it's 7-zip. But Caden Reichenbach, 2 yards later, would tie things up. Well, now fast forward you to James Mahon. I mean, this dude, he is ferocious. He carries a couple dudes into the end zone to give the Warriors a 16-7 lead. Bogten now to Allen would make it 23-7. And after a field goal, 26-7. Trey Ramey now will bust this one into the zone to make it 33-7. And those are victory Warrior Jacks here to close things out at home at NIST Stadium in week number 10. So you might notice here, not a lot of Bodpen in the highlight. So
Not
against
a lot of Bodpen.
an outmatched Highland team, didn't really feel like they needed their Ohio State commit to go all crazy like he's done just about every time that we've seen him this season. So I honestly feel like this is a good sign for Coach Eckert and his team to go out there and get some other guys involved, get some confidence boosted before they head into that postseason charge.
Maybe they were saving Bodpen for the postseason. It'd be smart, you know. Towards the end of the Shelby game, he actually might have twisted his ankle. It looked like it was like with 8 seconds left. So it was like, oh no, if Bodpen if he would have been out this week, and so on and so forth, that probably wouldn't have been looking good for Ontario. But glad he's healthy. Obviously, if I'm Ontario, I'm probably not playing Bodpen. You already locked up playoffs. Why would you even play him? Save everything you can get from him for playoffs.
All right, I'll tell you about what's going down in the playoff picture in the MOAC, but let's show you the final standings with Shelby becoming a victor tonight. Congratulations to the Whippets. 10-0 for the first time since 2017. Back when Coach Will was at the helms. Brennan Armstrong and the gang, they beat Pleasant tonight 33-14. Just a game better than Ontario, who they knocked off by a couple of scores. Put a 50-burger on the Warriors last week. Unbelievable performance by them. But as you look at the playoff picture in Division 4, Region 14, Shelby is locked in as the number 2 seed. Ontario is the number 3 seed. And we know that Shelby will end up playing Elida. They'll be hosting them at the Whippets Athletic Complex. And then Clear Fork will take on Ontario, of course, an MOAC rival of theirs, and a Colts team that gave them a very good contest during the regular season. 31-14, the Warriors won it in that first meeting. However, the Colts actually, I think, had the lead in that one, or right there near the end of the third quarter. So I'm definitely looking forward to that matchup. I love when conference rivals and especially county rivals get a chance to go head-to-head for a second time.
Oh yeah, I mean that's almost like a dream come true. Think about it, playing a team you've already played in the regular season and the postseason. I mean, 2 straight shots. Definitely a great shot to have in playoffs. Team home so well.
So that's what we know from the MOAC this season. The final standings are in. We're going to take one more commercial timeout, but when we come back, you guys want to know what time it is? Did you keep some champagne out? Yeah, baby, it's time to party with Mr. Andy Jardy. We'll hear from him from the shores of Lake Erie next.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
Week 10, they say it's the fastest 10 weeks, but you know what? When you're having as much fun as we are, it doesn't feel like the party's ever gonna end, because it's not. We still got it going. Andy, it's time for a Jardy party. What's going down, dog? How you doing tonight? I know, obviously, it was not a stress-free night for you. You had to direct for the first time this season, but you got to hang out in a tree house, so, you know, it came with a couple benefits.
We got the full effect of the treehouse tonight at Lucas, too, because, like, second half, the breeze started to blow in, and it started to, like, rain leaves. It was very, just beautiful for this time of the year. But I'm doing well. It is wild that we are through the high school football regular season after tonight. Like, just unreal that I feel like we're just getting into the swing of things, and now here we are, playoffs. Let's go.
Well, the good news is, Andy, since the OHSAA decided that we need to double the fun in the playoffs, we've got pretty much all the teams in, so it's far from over. We're a long way from this journey actually coming to a complete close, but I know that there's a lot of things going around the state that maybe we're not fully keeping an eye on here. So what did you know? Of course, big game going down tonight in the MAC. I have not heard of the final score in this one yet. So fill us in. Who went head to head and how did it play out?
History made as the longest winning streak in OHSAA history now belongs to Marion Local, who won their 58th straight game tonight against previously unbeaten Coldwater, 35-0.
No.
I mean, it's just every
that
week.
bad?
Yeah, 35-0. I think their closest game this year was Anna last week. Was like 21-0. I think was the score to that one. Yeah, it's just incredible, the streak that they put together. And these games aren't even close. Like, it's not like they're squeaking by. Like, these are just dominating performances out of Marion Local. So kudos to them. They now own the longest winning streak in OHSAA history. Speaking of unblemished, I mean, Shelby finishing with their 6-10-0 season. Kudos to them.
Yes, sir.
It felt like, you know, the Ontario game was going to be the only chance of a loss this year, and they avoided it. They look great. Watch out for them, obviously, here coming into playoff time now, too. And I was getting updates of the game throughout the game I was at tonight, but Norwalk St. Paul and that win that they got at Monroeville tonight was unreal. And seeing the 2-point conversion that they had to convert, like all night I saw Monroeville was up. They were up 28-21. And then when we got back to the studio, I was like, wait, they lost 29-28? I was like, ooh, they must have like gone for two at the end. And they did. And the way that they did it, I mean, goodness gracious, the Flyers are back. They're healthy. They're doing what they always do, and they're going to be a tough out for whoever gets them now come week 11 and on. And then a game, when is the last time that these two have played where there was literally nothing at stake for either one.
We talked
But
about this earlier.
How about Madison beating Mansfield Senior tonight? The Tigers finished the year 1-9. By the way, that one win for the Tigers over 7-3 New Philadelphia, whose only 3 losses are to undefeated Steubenville and another undefeated team as well.
Ashland.
I had it up here. Ashland, yeah. They lost to Ashland, Steubenville, a combined 20-0, and then 1-9 Mansfield Senior in overtime. It just goes to show that any given week, a team can go down. And so, that's pretty much everything that happened tonight. And then Northmore, Shelby, Ashland, all 10-0. So there you have it.
How about it? The rumor mill started. I heard that the Tigers rolled up in the bus like 15 minutes before kickoff and got out there. And not only that, I've heard they've been penalized twice for not being prepared by 7 p.m. Not ready yet. Now, my son goes to Mansfield City Schools, and the bus system's not great, but you'd think they'd be able to find one for a football Friday night. But I guess, tough sledding right now over there at senior high. So congratulations, though, to the Rams. I know that they upset them in 2020 in a game where it just felt like Mansfield wasn't really interested in being a part of that one. But tonight, it was the Rams won in this one. That was some of the chatter that I heard. Travis, they were ready. They wanted to put it on them.
Well, also, they took Ashland to overtime, could have won that one. And they got walked off by West Holmes. They could be a playoff team if those two results switch the other way.
Which is crazy to think about, and kind of goes to my point of just almost everybody's getting into the party these days. So it makes the postseason, at least the first round, not quite as fun as it used to be, but maybe the longer that it goes on, it's still a really good time, Andy. But
yeah,
we saw obviously some great individual performances here tonight, right?
Sure did. We sure did. You know it's coming. There it is. Yes. Andy's Dandies, the Week 10 performance here for you. We'll start, as always, with the game I was at. In a losing effort, still great to see Lucas's Dan Hawkinsmith, that 60-yard touchdown run on senior night. An appropriate end for him and for the Lucas Cubs this year, seeing him break off that touchdown run. That was an incredibly impressive team out of Whiteford, Michigan. Actually, I believe it's Ottawa Lake, Michigan, but Whiteford is the school. And what a team they have. They're state champs 2022, runner-up last year. That is probably the best opponent you want to face going into the playoffs, honestly, if you're Lucas. And Jeremy and I talked about this on the broadcast. Like, that Cubs team is going to be a tough draw wherever they end up. Like, that is like the worst kind of team to try and match up against on a short notice for whoever they draw. So Lucas Cubs, tough night tonight, but I would not be shocked to see them get a win or two here come playoff time. Our second Andy's Dandy, a little bit further north, we're going to Perkins. Braylon Collier, check out this stat line tonight. 10 catches, 227 yards, and 4 touchdowns as the Pirates clinch their 3rd straight SBC Lake Division title. So congratulations to Perkins and the Pirates with that big win. Travis already mentioned Northmore and their undefeated season for the first time ever. So I won't take their... I can't take it. It's weird for me to use any Northmore for Andy's Dandies because that's like Travis's. I don't know. We got to come up with something.
Hit me with something. We didn't do the game.
Travis might be getting like one of those K-Mac rings at the end of the season. I think he's like a quasi-coach or something over there.
Kind of.
Well, yeah. Doesn't the cheerleaders get them, right? So Travis should get one.
Travis is a big fangirl, so that makes sense. He should get one.
Absolutely. But my other Andy's Dandies, another impressive season. How about the Edison Chargers? They get their first undefeated season since 1981. They're an impressive bunch. They, I believe, are going to be the #1 seed in their division and region. So they are looking to make a deep run into the postseason. And then we're going a little bit out of the box here for my final 2 Andy's Dandies. I thought we should maybe spruce it up a little bit here for the final week of the regular season. I don't know who this dandy is, but whoever won the 50-50 tonight at the Coldwater Marion.
Oh, I saw that.
I saw it too.
The payout was $22,480. So shout out to you, whoever you are, and imagine going to a high school football game and coming away $22,000 richer.
Well,
I mean, that
the
is
main
something.
question is they always ask you, would you like to give it back to the school? I'd be like, no, sir. Here's $10, but no.
Yeah, I'll pay for my tickets back, but yeah, Andy needs a few things. And then lastly, where would we be without the GOAT Joe Idol when it comes to high school football? We'd be lost without him and his wonderful website that makes us look and sound so much smarter than any of us actually are. But Joe has got the formulas down. He's a great resource tool to use. So kudos to you, Joe Idol. You get your final, or you're my final Andy's Dandy for the regular season.
Wow. Yeah, I will double that notion and double the fun for Joe Idol, who I can't believe how fast he gets in all these scores from across the state. So he's got to have a whole team. He's got to be like Santa and the elves. He's got to have just a squad of minions just constantly just like looking around and finding all the scores and punching them in, because there's a lot of football teams for around the state, and just about every region is already up to speed. So speaking of speed, Travis, we're going to put you on the clock. We got a 3-minute timer. We're going to give you 3 minutes to throw on your Lenardi cap.
You had to give it to me at least once this year. I really haven't come on the show. So give me 3 minutes. I'll give you the breakdowns of what we got going on. Adam, hit me with the horn, Tony. We start in D2 Region 7. Big Walnut, #1 seed. They've clinched it. They will host Logan. Ashland, they'll either be the 3 or 4. If Massillon Washington wins tomorrow, Massillon will be the 3. Ashland will be the 4. Ashland would then host St. Charles. If Massillon loses, they'll be hosting Licking Heights. That's it for D2 Region 7. D3 Region 10. Lexington, you are in the postseason. Congratulations. You will be going to Maumee in week #1. We already talked a little bit about this. D3 Region 14. Perkins will be hosting Upper Sandusky. Shelby will be hosting Elida. Ontario will be hosting Clear Fork. River Valley will be heading to Vermilion. And Galion will be playing either Cloverleaf, Otsego, or Ottawa Glandorf. Still some bonus points for games played tomorrow, but Galion will be at home. D5 Region 18, we stepped on this a little bit. Fredericktown, a 14 seed. They will be going to Oak Harbor. D6 Region 22, Seneca East at Western Reserve, so a matchup of two teams that we have right there. Crestview will be going to Ottawa Hills. That will be their matchup in week #1 of the postseason. Now to D6 Region 23, the Northmore Golden Knights. They will be hosting Caldwell in the first round. Now here's where it gets a little interesting. Right now, Crawford 8, Centerburg 9. However, Eastern plays Southern. Reedsville Eastern plays Southern tomorrow. If Eastern wins, they move up to the 7 seed. That means Crawford would travel to Monroe Central. If they lose, Centerburg heads to Colonel Crawford and stays on the other side of the bracket of Northmore. So Northmore fans will be rooting for Southern to knock off Eastern, because if Eastern wins, a second-round matchup could possibly be Centerburg at Northmore for week 2 of the postseason.
1 minute.
And I only got 3 left. D7 Region 25, Hillsdale is actually a 2 seed, Brian.
Oh.
They will be hosting Fairport Harding. Lucas locked in at the 14. They will be heading to Malvern. Monroeville will be hosting Independence, so you did get that one right. St. Paul will be hosting Cuyahoga Heights. And congratulations, Crestline, the Bulldogs are in, but you got to go to top-seeded Western Reserve. But hey, they're in the postseason. 5-5, everything amazing for them. D7 Region 26, Calvert, the 7 seed, they will be hosting Hardin Northern in that game. Mohawk, the 4 seed, they will be hosting Edgerton in the first round of the postseason. And D7 Region 27, Danville, either a 1 or 2, it depends on bonus points, so they will either be hosting Bridgeport or Strasburg Franklin in the postseason. There you have it with 12 seconds to spare.
Whoa, Lenardi Berardi with the breakdown, all the postseason matchups that you need to know, and we'll get them properly hydrated and toweled off. So thank you, Travis, and I'm glad for the clarification on a couple of those. And so many of our area teams still dancing on, and
so many home games that we got to decide where we're going next week.
It's going to be a tough task, but we know with Girardi's directing skills now that we can do 8.
Yes, we can.
Piece of cake, right?
I think I got whatever Jonathan's got.
Oh man. Well, it was a fun and crazy week #10. I gotta say, I was keeping an eye on a lot of different scores.
We still have one set of standings. Did the team that you picked before the season actually win a conference championship? Let's take a look at the OCC standings in the Ashland Arrows.
I didn't want to brag and rub it into everybody. But of the media poll, the Jake Furr put out, one person and one person only out of the 20 folks said the Ashland Arrows would be the champions of the OCC. That person is screaming into your microphone and your eardrums right now. Not only did they do it, undefeated, and it wasn't even close. There's a top tier, and then there's everybody else a couple of tiers down. There shouldn't even be a second place. It should say third place between Lexington and New Philadelphia. That's how big the gap in the margin was this year. Congratulations to the Arrows and the return of Scott Valentine in year number 2 with that program. You knew it was going to come. You knew he would turn it around, and the ship is heading towards not 1, but 2 home playoff games over there at Community Stadium.
Well, also a Division I quarterback in Nathan Bernhard, who's doing it all. Like I said earlier with Madison, he pretty much won that game for them against Madison. But, yeah, they get those 2 home games. And I kind of want Massillon to win just so we can see a regional semifinal of Ashland Big Walnut. Or they lose, or, you know what, a Massillon win would – I'm confused now.
We give you your 3 minutes already.
We want to see Massillon, maybe Massillon Ashland. How'd that go? I don't know.
Hey, those 12 seconds don't carry over. You're
But congrats to the Arrows.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
God,
we
get
got
that
3
outta
more
here.
minutes? Dude, I was about ready to
No.
wrap this baby up. Like it's been a long week. Double headers, volleyballs and soccers.
I still got
tonight
soccer
with the
tomorrow.
10 games that we did, and I've got a noon kickoff tomorrow too. So I got to head home here now and at about 1:30 and get my thoughts and just get ready here for some girls championship soccer tomorrow. Andy, how are you going to spend your Saturday?
I am actually working tomorrow at the now newly branded FanDuel Sports Network Cleveland tomorrow. So
Sounded confident.
that'll be my Saturday. I'm running camera in studio, so if you think there's an earthquake in Cleveland, it's just me trying to operate the camera. So don't panic.
All right, Travis, you have 5 seconds. What are you doing tomorrow? Go.
Soccer, Madison going for a district championship, the first in a while.
And that's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching the Friday Night Pigskin. 10 weeks in the books. We ain't done, though. We'll have 2 more editions of the show in the playoffs because all of our teams are pretty much in. So we'll show you what goes down in Week 11 and Week 12. But for now, for tonight, we out of here. Later, y'all.